In these rather complicated times, we're all in need of positive thinking. And yet the term has been so abused in the last 25 years, it seems worthwhile to devote some time trying to clarify basic values. We know, for example, that a kind of attitude, a sort of self-hypnosis, in which the individual, surrounded by his troubles and unable to solve any of them, tries to take an attitude of everything being all right, this does not work. The person, knowing in himself that his optimism is not founded upon anything basic, lacks the courage of conviction and lacks the ability to believe his own constructive affirmation. It is obvious, therefore, that he has to dig deeper to find the basis or level or foundation upon which to build optimism. Some take the attitude that the more we know, the more we understand. This also is a mixed blessing, because experience shows us that increase of knowledge frequently brings with it an increasing ability to estimate difficulties on the level of recognizing more problems than the thoughtless person or the uninformed person ever has to face. If we are serious, if we are students of world affairs, if we have a certain ability to project existing patterns into the future toward their reasonable conclusions, we may also have considerable difficulty in maintaining a positive attitude. It is very easy to take the ground that things are bad, that we can reasonably and rationally expect the worst, and from such thinking, we certainly do not come to personal comfort. So mere increase of knowledge or increase of thoughtfulness will not balance the symptomologies that we see around us in the world. So again, we have to search elsewhere for the foundation of personal security. And perhaps the seat of it, as in most cases with our complex psychological organization, lies in our emotions. The individual who is emotionally constructive is generally constructive on all other levels. The emotions are the mainspring of our attitudes. And the mind, because it is forever attempting to justify the emotions, will rationalize according to them. So we may say definitely that the potential of a constructive attitude lies deep within the total personality of the individual. There are persons who seemingly are born with the power to retain a positive viewpoint on life. These are not the persons who have had the easiest kind of living. Sometimes their burdens are far heavier than those of the pessimist. They are moving, however, from a basic personal position. They are moving from a series of kindly, constructive, creative emotions. They are friendly by nature. They are idealistic. They are tolerant. They are patient. And they are non-critical in their way of thinking. All of these general attitudes together will add up to a more positive approach to life. Now, we may say that if an attitude rises from the emotions, it is not demonstrable That is, we cannot prove it. Perhaps we will be termed foolish. Perhaps we will be regarded as blind to the possibility of worry. This type of blindness offends our friends because they all feel that a responsible person should be miserable. And if we do not take on the general miasma of the time, then we are irresponsible. Actually, a positive attitude can no more be defined than human affections can be defined. We know that love is a reality, but the moment we analyze it, it evaporates. It has to be accepted as a total way of life. The individual who loves well, by instinct, not by attained powers, who has a naturally lovable way with them, will also usually be a constructive thinker and will hold a constructive attitude toward personal circumstances. One of the greatest dangers that we have, which forever interferes with constructive thinking, is self-centeredness. The individual whose mind is constantly focused upon society only in terms of himself will generally find difficulty. Not because, perhaps, the society in which he lives is difficult, but because he is establishing a relationship with society. The total personality which we have as a result of all of our psychic overtones either bestows or demands. And if this total personality demands, we will have trouble. If it bestows, we have a much greater probability of personal happiness. Happiness is something, therefore, which has to be given. The person who possesses it can have more. The person who does not possess it will lose whatever fragments of it seem to belong to him. It is like one of the treasures mentioned in the Bible, that those who have little, from them is taken that which they have. And this is true of peace of mind. The less we have, the more vulnerable we are to lose those few landmarks that we are clinging to. Thus we recognize that society applauds and appreciates the individual who gives something, not necessarily of what he has, but of what he is as a person. The individual can give of graciousness, and graciousness overcomes countless obstacles which would otherwise be baffling and discouraging. The individual can give of patience, and by so doing can very often reduce the pressure of obstacles.